Real Country 1430 AM and 1073 FM WRDN. I'm Brian Winnekins, and joining us this morning, Jonathan Halleck with Mar Bec Dairy. They're the hosts of this year's Buffalo County Dairy Breakfast this Saturday. And thank you to Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin for supporting our spotlight on Mar Bec Dairy. And today we're going to talk with Jonathan a little bit more about how the farm protects not only the land, but also the water. And Jonathan, we kind of ended with using that well water for plate cooling. Do you recycle that water?
Yes. So most water here on the dairy, sustainability is a big thing here on the dairy. So no water is really wasted here. So when the water goes through the plate cooler, it is reused to either spray down the cows to keep them cool with misters and sprinklers in the summer, or it can be used at, we have 2 drinking fountains that run off of it so that the cows have a bigger access to water, or it's used for cleanup in the parlor sidewalls and to clean up some of the concrete. But the water is not wasted. It is used at least 2 to 3 times is usually our hope.
Okay, now with the bedding and all of that, what do you do with that when you're done with it?
So on our farm, we don't use sand. We actually have mattresses with sawdust bedding, so it's an organic matter. So everything that we've got goes into our nutrient pond, and from there is spread back out to the fields twice a year when the weather permits and everything else is in line. And so what it really does is added organic matter to all of our soil types, which is good for water retention. So when you bring up groundwater protection and stuff like that, we'd like to make sure that the soil itself is healthy. One of the biggest keys to this sustainability for us is soil health and field management. So when you add that organic matter from bedding into the soil, you gain water absorption abilities and retention. So that water doesn't exactly filtrate right down to groundwater. It sits there and it kind of percolates and it gets filtered by the soil microbes, because healthy soil will clean water before it gets down to groundwater level. And that's very important to us.
What are some of the other things you do you mentioned soil health. What are some of the other things the farm does to improve soil health?
So soil health, some of the things we also do there is cover crops. So when we get our corn silage off in the fall, we will immediately turn around and we will try to spread the nutrients back out to where it is supposed to go, to where greatest yields were taken, is given priority, and make sure that all the fields get covered, not just the ones closest to the building here. And then we'll come back with a cover crop. Usually we use cereal rye. And what that'll do is it'll start growing, and it does not mind cold temperatures. It just doesn't like freezing temperatures, but it'll take off and turn green, and it'll put something fresh into the dirt, and you'll get roots going down, and those roots will feed the microbes and put sugars down, and it helps create a better soil structure.
And so then in the spring, what happens to that rye?
So for us, we plant corn right back into the rye and spray off the rye. We don't actually harvest it. It just becomes more organic mass to add into the soil.
Talking with Jonathan Halleck with Mar Bec Dairy, the host of this year's Buffalo County Dairy Breakfast. So how do you protect the soil? Obviously, okay, so you're adding that those cover crops will protect the soil as well from, erosion and things like that. Do you do other things as well?
Yeah, so shout out to the NRCS for anybody that doesn't know what they do. They are very good at trying to help with resource conservation and soil conservation. We work directly with our Buffalo County NRCS office, and we usually have at least one project working with them every year to help improve different areas of the farm and different farmsteads that we operate. So whether that's putting in conservation dams, adding contour strips, anything we can do to control erosion is what we work with on the NRCS side. So here in Buffalo County, we're very used to having rolling hill type soils. There's no flat fields around here. So contour strips are one of our biggest keys to making sure that we control the movement of water.
And so now, do you have water alleys too?
Yeah, we have waterways throughout the farm. It takes us at least a week just to mow them so that the grass stays controllable.
Talking with Jonathan Halleck with Mar Bec Dairy. And those of you who don't know what a waterway is, it's basically, Jonathan, just like an alleyway that's grass that goes right through the middle of the field.
Yeah, it's a 20 to 50 foot wide strip of just grass, so that when water comes down, its speed is controlled by the plants and it doesn't rush immediately towards the bottom of the field.
So now contour planting, for those that are unfamiliar, what is contour planting?
Contour planting is when you look at a hill and an alfalfa field will go in between cornfields and run the length horizontally of the field. And what you're trying to do there is you're trying to have your fields lined up at a certain elevation. But what the alfalfa does in between the cornfields is it slows down water and it tries to keep water A in the field so that we have good moisture and we have good growing conditions, and B to slow down so that we don't have erosion from dirt.
So you might have 30 rows of corn, then a section of alfalfa, then another 30 rows of corn, and a little bit more alfalfa. That's got to be kind of hard to manage all that.
Yeah, I am not the poster child for a custom harvester's favorite farmer because our average field size is about 9 acres. So
Wow.
between all the contours, and you think we have 2,500 and some acres, and our average field size or our median field size comes in somewhere around 9 acres. Our biggest fields are about 20 to 40, and
Wow.
everything from there goes smaller.
Wow, that is truly amazing on how the farm has. That means you have a lot of soil testing to do, don't you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot, and I am very grateful for all the consultants I have that help me make this possible.
Talking with Jonathan Hollick with Mar Bec Dairy, the host of the Buffalo County Dairy Breakfast this Saturday, starting at 7. They're off of Highway Double N near Mondovi. Coming up tomorrow morning, we'll talk a little bit about the breakfast coming up and on Saturday and find out more what's going to happen at the breakfast. This is